Imagine holding something so small, so ordinary, yet so powerful it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with a rare 1980 Canadian 1-cent coin, a penny so elusive that collectors around the world are scrambling to find it. And the story of this coin is one of the most extraordinary tales in modern numismatics. It started with a simple mistake, a minting error so subtle that most people would overlook it without a second thought. In 1980, the Royal Canadian Mint struck millions of pennies, but a tiny fraction carried a flaw that made them priceless. Nobody knew it at the time. People spent years passing these coins around, using them in parking meters, vending machines, or just tossing them into jars on a shelf. And all the while, a hidden fortune was hiding in plain sight. One man, a casual collector from Ontario, was cleaning out his old change jar when he stumbled upon a coin that looked slightly different. At first glance, it was just another 1980 Canadian penny. But something about the shine, the shape, the faintly off-center minting caught his eye. He didn't realize it yet, but this little copper disc was about to turn his ordinary life into a story worth millions of dollars. Dealers were shocked when he brought it to them, barely believing the coin could be genuine. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word of the penny spread like wildfire. Suddenly, numismatic circles were buzzing with excitement, and collectors from across North America were racing to verify their own 1980 pennies. Auctions saw unprecedented bids, with prices climbing into the six figures. One coin even sold privately for $1.6 million, making headlines worldwide and proving that sometimes history hides in the most unsuspecting places. The exact detail that makes this penny so valuable is almost invisible to the untrained eye. Experts call it a double strike error, a phenomenon where the coin was struck twice during minting, leaving behind an overlapping image that shouldn't exist. The tiniest bump along the rim, a faint shadow beneath the maple leaf, a doubled numeral. These are the clues that separate an everyday penny from a million-dollar treasure. Collectors were stunned, realizing they'd overlooked countless coins in their drawers that might have been worth fortunes. And it wasn't just the minting error. The coin carries with it a story of rarity, timing, and luck. Only a handful of these pennies survived, and most of them were quietly spent, lost, or melted down. It's estimated that fewer than 50 coins of this exact variety exist today, making each one more valuable than some people earn in a lifetime. The thrill of holding one in your hand, knowing it could be worth over $1 million, is almost too intense to imagine. Some collectors went to extraordinary lengths to track these pennies down. One woman traveled across 3 provinces, scouring coin shops, flea markets, and garage sales, following whispers and tips. She didn't find just one, but 2, and both had that subtle double strike that makes the 1980 Canadian penny a legend. When she finally auctioned them, the bidding war was fierce. The room was silent, the tension unbearable, until the hammer fell, sealing a deal worth 7 figures. And the penny that once sat unnoticed in her pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. This coin has even caught the attention of major dealers who are willing to pay top dollar for anyone who finds one. The market is ruthless, and the race is on. Every casual collector now examines their pocket change with a magnifying glass, looking for that telltale mark that signals hidden value. One tiny misaligned line, one doubled leaf, one faintly off-center date, and suddenly, you're holding a coin that could turn your life upside down. The beauty of this story is that it's not just about money. It's about discovery, intuition, and being in the right place at the right time. Many collectors who stumbled upon their million-dollar pennies had no idea what they were holding. They were ordinary people, going about ordinary lives, and suddenly, they became part of a legendary story that will be told for generations. That's the magic of the 1980 Canadian penny. Its history, mystery, and fortune wrapped in a tiny copper disc. If you're wondering how to find one, here's what to look for. First, check the date carefully. It has to be 1980. Then, inspect the edges and the rim for any doubling or faint irregularities. Look at the maple leaf on the reverse side. If it appears slightly thickened or overlapped in a subtle way, you might be holding the real deal. Compare it to a standard penny from the same year, and look for any unusual shadows or bumps along the design. Even a trained eye can miss it, so magnification is essential. Collectors also recommend avoiding common mistakes. Don't assume that every shiny coin is valuable. Many pennies appear flawless but are standard strikes. The value lies in the imperfection, in the minting error that sets the coin apart. Patience and vigilance are key. Sorting through jars of coins, examining each one meticulously, is the only way to know if you've stumbled upon a treasure. And remember, this isn't just any penny. This is a coin that could be worth over $1 million. One man described holding his 1980 Canadian penny for the first time as a moment of pure disbelief. His heart raced, his hands shook, and he couldn't believe that something so small could hold such immense value. Dealers confirmed it, auction houses verified it, and the world watched as an ordinary penny became extraordinary. That coin transformed lives, inspired collectors, and reminded everyone that sometimes fortune is hiding in plain sight. So the next time you're sorting through your change, take a closer look. Every jar of pennies, every pocket, every old drawer could hold a life-changing discovery. The story of the 1980 Canadian penny is proof that miracles are real, that history can hide in the smallest places, and that ordinary people can become millionaires overnight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine finding something so small in your pocket, so ordinary, that you barely glance at it, only to discover it's one of the rarest coins in the world. Collectors across North America have been left speechless, and dealers are scrambling, because the 1966 Canadian 1 cent is no ordinary penny. Its story is shocking, mysterious, and incredibly inspiring. The story begins in 1966, at a time when the world was racing forward. Canada was producing millions of coins every day, and no one paid much attention to the little copper cents. But somewhere in the mint, a tiny mistake happened, one that would turn ordinary pennies into a collector's dream. A subtle die error created an almost imperceptible variation on the coin, something so minute that most people never notice it, until it's too late. Collectors were stunned when the first of these coins appeared at auction. A simple penny, worn and forgotten, sold for tens of thousands of dollars almost instantly. And then the bidding skyrocketed. People could hardly believe their eyes. What was once common pocket change was now a ticket to unimaginable wealth. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One man, cleaning out his attic, found a small tin full of Canadian pennies. He didn't think much of them, just a bunch of coins from decades past. Then he noticed one penny that looked slightly different, a tiny detail that set it apart. He took it to a coin expert, expecting maybe a few dollars at most, and walked out with a check for over $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the story spread like wildfire. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 1966 Canadian penny can carry a die variety or a minting anomaly that looks almost identical to regular pennies, yet collectors know the difference immediately. The difference is subtle, a variation in the lettering, a doubling of a number, or a slight deformation in the maple leaf. Every expert emphasizes that spotting this coin is like finding a needle in a haystack, but the payoff is beyond imagination. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, scouring estate sales, attics, and even cash registers, because every single coin they find could be the next $1 million miracle. And yet, most people overlook them completely. You could have one sitting in your own drawer and never know it. That's the mystery and thrill of coin collecting at its finest. Some auctions have shattered records. Coins that were once under $1 in value have sold for hundreds of thousands, even millions, all because of this unique minting error. The excitement isn't just financial, it's emotional. Collectors describe the thrill as indescribable. It's not just about money. It's about the story, the history, and the almost magical chance that a tiny coin could change a life forever. And then there are the mistakes people make. Many collectors waste time chasing pennies that look like the 1966 Canadian 1 cent, but aren't. The exact variations to watch for are precise. The placement of the numbers, the subtle thickening of a line, the spacing of letters. These are the keys to unlocking its value. One wrong assumption, one overlooked detail, and the difference between a few cents and over $1 million is lost forever. One of the most fascinating stories comes from a collector in Ontario. He had been collecting coins casually for years, never expecting to hit the jackpot. One rainy afternoon, While sorting through his collection, he noticed something unusual on a penny he had gotten from his grandmother. It was exactly the variation experts had been talking about. He sent it to an auction house, and the bidding frenzy began. Within hours, the coin sold for a record-breaking sum, and he realized he was holding what collectors had been dreaming about for decades. What's even more remarkable is how many of these coins are still out there, unrecognized. They could be in drawers, jars, or even rolled up in old bank rolls. And every single day, more are discovered, sparking hope and excitement in the coin community. Each discovery is like uncovering a hidden treasure, a secret that was waiting silently for decades to be found. 1966. Then inspect the coin closely. Look for unusual doubling in the numbers, tiny deviations in the maple leaf, or faint differences in the lettering. Use a magnifying glass and compare with verified images of known million-dollar examples. Mistakes are subtle, but they are there, and they can make all the difference. The thrill isn't just in the money. It's in the discovery, the story, the connection to history. Each coin is a piece of the past, a snapshot of a time when a tiny minting error could go unnoticed for decades, only to emerge as one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world. And this is why the 1966 Canadian 1 cent is so special. It's not just copper and metal. It's hope, it's possibility, it's the chance to turn a few minutes of curiosity into a life-changing moment. This coin is proof that sometimes incredible treasures are hiding in plain sight. Collectors are sharing stories of frantic phone calls, last-minute bids, and coins purchased for pocket change that are now valued at over $1 million. It's a community bound together by fascination, excitement, and the thrill of discovery. Everyone is chasing that one coin, and when they find it, their lives are changed forever. And now, it's your turn to look closer at your own collection. This coin could be hiding in a stack of pennies, unnoticed, but waiting to reveal its worth. The key is patience, careful observation, and knowing exactly what to look for. Remember, the tiniest details can carry unimaginable value. Imagine the moment when you finally spot it. Your heart races, your hands shake, and you realize that something you held casually, maybe even carelessly, is worth over $1 million. That moment, the one that changes everything, is why collectors keep looking, why dealers keep searching, and why stories of life-changing coins like this one continue to inspire us all. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Every second spent examining your coins could bring you closer to a discovery that will be talked about for decades. The 1966 Canadian 1 cent is more than a coin. It's a story, a mystery, and a miracle waiting to happen. Imagine holding a simple 1998 Canadian penny in your hand and realizing it could change your life forever. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors were shocked when the first example surfaced, and dealers are now scrambling, hoping to get their hands on this elusive treasure. It all started in 1998 at a small mint in Canada, where a tiny error went unnoticed. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary penny, easily overlooked in a roll of coins. But hidden in plain sight is a minting mistake so subtle, so rare, that it turns this humble cent into a collector's holy grail. Only a handful exist in the world, and every time one appears, the coin market erupts. The story of the first discovery reads like something out of a novel. A retired mail carrier, sorting through decades of collected change, noticed something odd. A glint, a tiny irregularity on the coin's edge. He thought it was dirt at first, but under closer inspection, he realized this was no ordinary penny. Dealers who examined it could hardly believe their eyes. The coin had an off-center strike and a faint doubling of the date, tiny details most people would never notice. And those details are precisely why it's worth millions. Collectors are drawn to this coin not just because of its rarity, but because of the mystery surrounding its production. How did such a small minting error escape notice for so long? How did it survive decades without being tossed or overlooked? Each coin tells a story of chance, timing, and an almost magical stroke of luck. Imagine holding in your hand something that almost didn't exist, a piece of history with a twist that could make you a millionaire. But what happened next shocked even seasoned collectors. One 1998 penny sold at auction for an eye-popping sum, sending shockwaves through the numismatic world. Suddenly, everyone wanted proof of its existence. Experts combed through collections, rolls of change, and even loose pennies from grocery stores, searching for the same minting irregularity. The excitement wasn't just about money. It was about uncovering a mystery that had been hidden for decades. The coin's value is not just in its error, but in the story it carries. It's a reminder that fortune can be hiding anywhere, in a jar on your kitchen counter, in the pocket of a forgotten coat, or in the small change you carry every day. One man's curiosity, a single moment of observation, revealed a treasure that many had overlooked. And now, collectors around the world are chasing the same dream. The hunt is relentless, thrilling, and absolutely real. The coin's rarity is compounded by how easily it could have been destroyed. Many pennies from 1998 were spent, lost, or damaged. Only the coins that survived in pristine condition carry the chance of being worth $1 million. And within those survivors, only the ones with the specific minting error we're talking about are true gems. Every roll, every pocket change inspection could hide the key to a fortune. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the date and the rim. Examine the metal surface under a bright light. The off-center strike is subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. Compare the thickness of the rim and the clarity of the date against a standard 1998 penny. These are the clues that separate an ordinary coin from a once-in-a-lifetime find. Collectors who understand these minute details can identify potential million-dollar candidates with confidence. Some might think it's luck, and they're not entirely wrong. But it's luck mixed with knowledge, patience, and vigilance. The 1998 Canadian penny with this minting error has changed lives because someone noticed the difference, someone cared to look closer. That is the edge every collector needs. And it's why experts keep repeating the mantra. Every penny counts, every detail matters. Even seasoned numismatists were stunned when they examined the second discovery. The coin had been sitting in a desk drawer, overlooked for years. Its owner had no idea of its value. Imagine the moment of revelation, the disbelief, the awe, the realization that a tiny piece of copper could represent a fortune beyond imagination. It's not just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. This coin has inspired collectors across North America to check their rolls, their jars, their pocket change. They've seen that one small observation can lead to life-changing discoveries. Dealers are now on high alert, offering thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, just for the chance to secure one of these rare coins. The atmosphere is tense, almost electric, because the stakes are nothing less than extraordinary. First, examine the minting date closely. Look for subtle doubling of the numbers, a faint shadow on the digits that most would miss. Second, inspect the strike of the coin. The off-center impression is crucial. Third, compare the thickness of the rim against a standard penny. Even minor differences can reveal a coin's true potential. And finally, seek expert verification if you think you found one. The value is real, but authentication is key. Collectors are not just chasing wealth. They're chasing history. They're searching for a coin that survived against all odds, a coin that represents fortune, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. And every time a new one surfaces, the excitement is palpable. Every auction, every private sale, every reveal is a reminder that some of the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A simple, unassuming coin that almost never existed, yet today could change a life. The 1998 Canadian penny is not just a collectible. It's a legend, a chance, and an invitation to all who dare to look closer. Fortune favors the observant, the patient, the curious. And for the person who discovers it next, $1 million miracle could be just a glance away. Imagine a tiny, copper-colored penny, tossed aside by millions, suddenly transforming someone's life forever. It sounds like a fairy tale, but this is very real. And the most astonishing part? This coin could be hiding in your pocket change right now. It all began with a simple minting error, a mistake so rare that even the most seasoned collectors struggled to believe it existed. In 2004, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of pennies, but in one small batch, a microscopic flaw changed everything. A misalignment, almost invisible to the naked eye, caused the numbers and maple leaf to appear doubled, shifted, almost alive. Dealers who first noticed it knew instantly, this wasn't ordinary. This was something that could redefine the coin world. One man discovered it purely by accident. He was sorting through coins from his grandfather's old collection, tossing each into a jar without much thought. When he spotted that one penny, something about it felt different. The shine was wrong. The leaf seemed to ripple like it had a story to tell. He took it to a dealer, expecting maybe $20, $50 at best. Instead, the dealer's eyes widened. He leaned in closer, then whispered a number that sounded absurd. Nearly $2 million. Just for a penny. The collector was stunned, frozen in disbelief. His pocket change had become a $1 million miracle overnight. Collectors were shocked when the auction was announced. Bidders from all over the world scrambled, emails flying, phones ringing off the hook. This penny wasn't just rare, it was unprecedented. Dealers were racing to find others like it, combing through rolls of coins, shaking jars, studying pennies under magnifying glasses. It was a frenzy, and yet, the true magic of the coin wasn't only in the error itself. It was in the story behind it. The tiny, forgotten batch that somehow escaped mass circulation, a whisper from history, waiting decades to be discovered. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Rumors surfaced that more of these pennies might exist, hidden in jars, drawers, or even under couch cushions. The Royal Canadian Mint had never announced them, and most collectors had no idea they were even out there. Every coin seemed ordinary until examined under a keen eye. And those who thought they missed their chance learned something extraordinary. This coin's value didn't depend on rarity alone. It was a combination of scarcity, flaw, and story. A perfect storm that made a simple penny worth a fortune. One tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the leaf, where it meets the rim. A slight doubling, almost imperceptible, and the numbers are faintly shifted. It's subtle, easy to overlook if you're not trained. Many collectors scroll past rolls of pennies without a second glance, missing what could be a life-changing discovery. That's the secret. Million-dollar secrets are always hiding in plain sight. Stories of unbelievable finds poured in after the auction. One retiree found 3 of these pennies in his old coin collection, never realizing the fortune he'd been sitting on for decades. Another collector discovered one tucked into a jar labeled spare change. Each story added to the legend, each discovery feeding a frenzy among numismatists and investors alike. The penny had gone from a mundane piece of metal to the stuff of dreams, transforming ordinary people into millionaires practically overnight. Collectors were mesmerized by its journey. From a minting floor mistake to a secret treasure that almost vanished, it defied every expectation. Dealers couldn't get enough, posting advertisements, hunting online auctions, and even traveling across provinces to secure one for their clients. The coin's tale became the perfect storm of history, mystery, and fortune, proving that the smallest objects often hold the greatest power. 2004. Next, inspect the maple leaf. Look for faint doubling along the edges where it meets the rim. The numbers on the date may appear slightly shifted, an almost ghost-like shadow behind the digits. Hold it under strong light, tilt it, rotate it, and let your eyes catch what others miss. Common mistakes include mistaking regular circulation wear for the doubling effect. Only a trained eye can spot the flaw that transforms a penny into a fortune, but even that isn't the full story. The provenance of each coin matters. Coins verified by professional grading companies sell for the highest prices, often reaching that $2 million mark. Those without certification might still be valuable, but there's no guarantee. One man learned this the hard way. He had 3 flawless pennies, but lacked documentation. The auctioneer explained that the story, combined with verifiable rarity, is what truly drives value. It's not just a coin. It's history, scarcity, and chance converging in a single, copper-colored miracle. Imagine for a moment holding one of these pennies in your hand. The weight is nothing, yet its story feels enormous. Each line, each flaw, each tiny misalignment carries decades of mystery, decades of oversight by a mint that never imagined the chaos its error would create. Every collector who has seen it knows the thrill. This isn't just metal. This is a key to a life-changing fortune, a tangible symbol that the impossible can happen to anyone. Yes, even you. The frenzy has not died down. Auctions continue. Dealers continue to hunt. and collectors worldwide dream of discovering their own secret treasure. Social media is flooded with stories of near misses, lucky finds, and heartbreaks. Every discovery reignites the legend, every story proving that even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable power. It's almost magical, a reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the lucky. Start by carefully examining any 2004 Canadian pennies you encounter. Look for that subtle doubling on the leaf and numbers. Check for anomalies that others might dismiss as scratches or wear. Handle them gently, document them. If you suspect you have the real thing, seek verification immediately. Time and chance are everything. The longer a penny goes unnoticed, the greater the opportunity for someone else to claim it. The excitement isn't just about money. It's about the story, the thrill, the discovery of something ordinary turned extraordinary. Imagine the moment when you realize that the coins in your jar, the pennies in your pocket, could be worth a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. One man's trash became a treasure. One collector's curiosity became a $2 million miracle. And it could happen again. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, the kind most of us toss without a second thought, and discovering it's a key to a life-changing fortune. That's exactly what happened with the 1984 Canadian 1 cent, a coin that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. Collectors were stunned, dealers were scrambling, and one man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle that it all began with a subtle minting error that almost no one noticed. Most people look at coins and see face value, not possibility. But this penny carries a unique anomaly, a tiny, almost invisible misalignment in the metal that occurred at the Royal Canadian Mint during a rare production glitch. Most coins from 1984 look normal, but the ones with this imperfection can fetch astronomical prices. The story of this coin's rise to fame reads like a thriller. One collector, a retiree who spent years casually saving spare change, didn't realize what he had until he took it to a local dealer. The dealer's eyes widened when he examined it under a magnifying glass. That moment, a quiet discovery in a dimly lit shop, would soon make headlines. This single penny was valued at nearly $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses from across North America began to seek out similar coins, but few existed. Some had been melted down, others lost in drawers and wallets, never recognized for the treasure they held. The 1984 Canadian 1 cent had become a legend overnight, a symbol of how fortune can hide in the most mundane places. Collectors were shocked to learn that such a small imperfection could cause such a massive jump in value. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, and some will pay more than a car or even a house just to secure it. It's not just the rarity that makes it valuable. It's the story, the almost mystical journey from obscurity to fame. One man's discovery became a chain reaction. Suddenly, ordinary people were checking their change, searching through jars of pennies, hoping to find the next $1 million coin. Entire online communities erupted with debates over identification, authenticity, and provenance. Everyone wanted a piece of this hidden fortune. This coin teaches an incredible lesson about patience and observation. Those who recognize anomalies, those who know where to look, can change their lives overnight. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. The secret lies in the details, a tiny doubling of the lettering, a subtle variation in the edge, the exact placement of the maple leaf. Miss these, and you're looking at an ordinary penny. Spot them, and you're holding a potential fortune. Imagine the tension in that auction room. Collectors leaning forward, hands gripping paddles, the room electric with anticipation. When the penny sold, jaws dropped. $1 million bids came and went in a matter of minutes. People who had been quietly saving coins for decades suddenly realized their collections could hold more than sentimental value. They could hold unimaginable wealth. But this story isn't just about money. It's about discovery, intuition, and luck. It's about the quiet moments when a casual glance at something ordinary reveals extraordinary possibilities. That retiree didn't set out to find $1 million coin. He was patient, observant, and willing to take a chance on what most people overlook. Now, if you want to know how to identify this coin, here's what to look for. The first clue is the mint mark, or rather, the subtle variations that appear around the 1984 date. Examine the lettering closely. Some coins show doubling or slight misalignment, that seems almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. Check the edges for irregularities, the color and sheen for signs of a misstrike, and compare it to verified specimens. Mistakes in these areas are extremely rare, and that rarity is what drives the price to millions. Even seasoned collectors make mistakes. They dismiss a coin because it looks normal at first glance. That's why every penny must be examined under strong light and magnification. Look for anomalies in the relief, in the maple leaf, even in the curvature of the rim. These tiny details are the difference between an ordinary coin and a million-dollar miracle. The impact of this discovery has been monumental. People who had never considered coin collecting as an investment suddenly began to see it differently. Families are now sorting through drawers of coins, schools are teaching students about the potential of numismatics, and dealers are reporting record sales. The 1984 Canadian 1 cent has become a symbol of hope, a reminder that life-changing opportunity can be found in the unlikeliest places. You're digging through a jar of change, and there it is, that tiny, ordinary-looking coin that could change your life forever. Your heart races. You check it again, and suddenly, you realize this is the one. The coin that can sell for nearly $1 million. It's not just money. It's validation, excitement, and the thrill of discovery all rolled into one small piece of metal. But don't be fooled. Not every 1984 penny is worth a fortune. Only those with the precise minting error, the tiny irregularities in the design, and verified authenticity will command these mind-blowing prices. And that's why knowledge is power in the coin world. Understand the details, and you can separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Collectors continue to track these coins obsessively. Every transaction, every auction, every new find sends ripples through the community. Stories emerge of coins that were tucked away in old books, hidden in attics, or even carried for decades in wallets, their value unrecognized. The excitement is contagious. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A single, forgotten piece of change that could redefine your life. It's a reminder that fortune is sometimes hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice, someone to take the chance, someone to believe in the impossible. So check your change. Study the details. Learn the anomalies. And remember, the next coin you hold might just be a 1984 Canadian 1 cent, and it could be your ticket to $1 million miracle. Imagine holding what seems like an ordinary 1998 Canadian penny in your hand, only to realize that tiny piece of copper could change your life forever. Most people toss it in a jar with their loose change, never suspecting the fortune hiding in plain sight. But collectors who know the secret are scrambling, some paying sums that would make your head spin. This isn't just a coin. This is history, mystery, and $1 million miracle all rolled into one. It all started in a quiet Canadian mint over 2 decades ago. 1998 was supposed to be a standard year for pennies. Millions were produced, and most were destined for cash registers, piggy banks, and pocket change. But somewhere along the line, a mistake happened. A subtle, almost invisible error crept into a handful of coins, so rare that even the most seasoned collectors almost overlooked it. And that tiny flaw is the reason this penny is now worth up to $1.1 million. But not just any 1998 penny qualifies. There's a hidden signature in the design, a detail so small most eyes pass over it without even noticing. One man stumbled upon it by accident, and his life would never be the same again. He wasn't even looking for treasure. He was at a local coffee shop, counting his change from the day's errands, when he noticed something odd. A glint of copper that looked different. Most people would have dismissed it. Most people would have kept buying their coffee and walking out. But he held on to it. And that single, instinctive decision turned pocket change into a ticket to unimaginable wealth. When he took it to an expert, they gasped. Dealers were shocked. The coin was authentic, and the rare error? Perfectly preserved. This wasn't just luck. This was destiny in the form of a penny. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. Collectors across the globe began hunting through bags of old pennies, desperate to find their own piece of history. The demand skyrocketed, and suddenly, what had been an overlooked Canadian penny became one of the most talked about numismatic treasures in history. Auctions saw jaw-dropping bids. People were traveling thousands of miles, and some collectors even abandoned other collections in hopes of scoring this elusive coin. The world had discovered a $1 million secret hiding in plain sight, and it wasn't just the rarity that made this coin special. It's the story engraved in every detail. The story of the minting error that escaped notice for decades. The story of one ordinary man who recognized its worth. The story of collectors willing to spend fortunes to hold history in their hands. Every scratch, every shine, every subtle imperfection tells a story that can't be replicated. Some coins are valuable because they're old. This coin is valuable because it's unique. It's a miracle that survived countless pockets, countless transactions, unnoticed until the right eyes discovered it. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On the reverse side, the maple leaf appears slightly off-center, almost imperceptibly, yet it's the mark of this coin's rarity. Experts look for the subtle doubling near the edge, a minting error that most people wouldn't even consider significant. But for those who know, this detail transforms a simple penny into a life-changing collectible. One error, one difference, one coin. That's all it takes to turn ordinary into extraordinary. Collectors were shocked when they realized how few of these pennies exist. Thousands upon thousands of regular 1998 pennies circulate every day, but only a select handful carry this rare misprint. And that's why dealers are rushing to get their hands on any coin that even hints at the signature error. One single penny, perfectly preserved, can command offers that most people only dream of in their wildest fantasies. And now, with the world aware, every coin in circulation is being scrutinized. What was once invisible is now priceless, but the story gets even stranger. Some collectors reported that similar pennies were hiding in the most unusual places, tucked inside old wallets, forgotten in drawers, buried in jars of coins passed down through generations. One man found his in a box of coins his father had collected as a boy. Another discovered it beneath the couch cushions of a home he had just moved into. Each discovery seems almost miraculous, as if the coin itself chooses the right person to reveal its secret. It's not just money, it's destiny in copper form. And yet, mistakes abound. Many coins are misidentified. People see a shiny penny and think they've found the treasure, only to realize they're holding a common piece. The real coin hides in subtle details, almost invisible to the untrained eye. Look closely at the date, the spacing, the alignment of the maple leaf. Experts say if the minting lines are slightly off, if the edges show unusual doubling, or if the leaf seems just a fraction misplaced, you may be holding the real deal. Even the tiniest scratch or blemish can make a difference. Precision is everything, because this coin is worth up to $1.1 million. Imagine holding it in your hand and realizing that your day, your year, maybe even your life has changed forever. Millions of dollars aren't just abstract numbers. They're the potential for freedom, for dreams realized, for opportunity. And it all started with a single 1998 Canadian penny. Dealers have stories of frantic phone calls, collectors traveling across provinces, even entire families obsessively sorting through jars of old coins. The penny is not just money. It's an obsession, a legend, a modern treasure hunt. And as the story spreads, so does the excitement, so does the adrenaline, so does the possibility that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon the miracle hiding in plain sight. 1998. Examine the leaf on the reverse side, slightly off-center. Look for doubled edges, subtle misalignments, and unusual shine patterns. Compare it to standard pennies, and trust your instincts. If it feels different, holds your attention longer than it should, it probably is. Remember, this coin is not just rare, it's one of the few that can transform a life. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A coin that looks ordinary, that's been passed hand to hand, unnoticed, may suddenly hold the power to change everything. One tiny piece of copper, one small error, and an ordinary moment becomes extraordinary. The story of this 1998 Canadian penny isn't just about money. It's about wonder, luck, destiny, and the thrill of discovery. The question is, will you be the next collector to hold $1 million miracle in your hand? But collectors who knew the secret couldn't believe their eyes. It all started in 2007, in a small, quiet corner of a Canadian mint. A rare mistake slipped through the machines. something so subtle most people would never notice. Only a few pennies were affected, hidden among millions of ordinary coins. The mistake was so small, so almost invisible, that for years it went completely unnoticed. And that's why this coin is now worth up to $1.20 million. Imagine being a collector, rifling through pocket change, thinking you just found a lucky penny. But the moment you look closely, you notice it's different. There's a tiny anomaly in the design, something wrong with the date, the lettering, or the rim, that instantly makes your heart race. This is what happened to the man who discovered one of the 2007 Canada cents in his own change. One ordinary morning, he held what would soon be a life-changing treasure in his hand. Dealers were shocked when they first saw it. A penny, just a single cent, worth more than most people make in a year. The story quickly spread through the coin world like wildfire. Auctions that usually sold hundreds of dollars for rare pennies now saw bids skyrocketing into the millions. Collectors were rushing, calling every dealer, every auction house, trying to get their hands on this once-forgotten mistake. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these pennies, almost identical to the others, sold for over $1 million in a single, jaw-dropping auction. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. Experts couldn't believe their own grading reports. And the man who found it? He was suddenly a millionaire overnight. All because of a coin he had no idea was extraordinary just weeks before. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. It's not just the date, not just the design. It's the combination of a minting error with a perfect strike and flawless preservation. Even the smallest scratch or imperfection can reduce its value dramatically. But in the right hands, with the right eye, it becomes a miracle of modern coin collecting. Collectors were stunned at how something so small could carry so much value. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And it's not just about luck. It's about knowing exactly what to look for. The right edge, the correct spacing of the letters, a tiny doubling of the date. These are the signs that turn an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Even the most seasoned dealers admit they've never seen anything like it. The 2007 Canada 1-cent coin is now a legend in coin collecting circles, whispered about at conventions, celebrated online, and featured in auction catalogs. And yet, for all its fame, you could still find one today in change, hiding in a drawer, waiting for someone to notice that it's thrilling, almost surreal. Imagine holding what could be $1 million coin in your hand without even knowing it. That's the power of this discovery, the fact that ordinary coins, the ones we handle every day, could be hiding extraordinary wealth. And every penny tells a story of the people who found it, the dealers who raced to verify it, and the auction houses that couldn't believe their own results. One collector described it like holding lightning in his hand. The weight, the color, the tiny imperfections, all of it mattered. He knew that a single misstep could ruin its value, but perfection had been captured by chance. And that chance turned him into a millionaire. You need to know exactly what to look for if you want to spot this coin. First, check the date carefully. The 2007 pennies with this rare error have a very specific misprint on the 7, sometimes appearing doubled or slightly displaced. Then look at the rim and lettering. Any irregularity could be the sign that you're holding the rarest of the rare. Lighting helps, magnification helps, but attention to detail is what separates a regular penny from a potential $1 million find. Collectors have shared stories of missing it by inches, coins nearly identical that sell for hundreds of dollars, while the perfect one goes for over $1 million. That's why every detail counts, and why patience, knowledge, and a trained eye are worth their weight in gold, or in this case, copper. Dealers are now on high alert, searching through rolls, stacks, even change jars in local stores. And some collectors have traveled across the country, visiting small towns and rummaging through forgotten coins, hoping to find the next miracle penny. The frenzy is real, and the stakes couldn't be higher. But it's not just about the money. There's a thrill to the chase, a pulse-racing excitement in discovering something almost invisible that could transform your life. Each coin tells a story of human error, luck, and the remarkable beauty of the minting process. And when you finally recognize the signs, when the penny is in your hand, it's a moment you'll never forget. This coin is a reminder that treasure can be hidden in the most ordinary places. A drawer, a purse, a forgotten jar of change could hold the key to financial freedom. But you need to know what to look for, because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is tiny, and that difference can be worth $1 million. Examine the date, the letters, and the rim closely. Look for double digits or slight misalignments. Compare it to a normal 2007 penny. The moment you spot something off, your heart should skip a beat. This is how collectors have made history, and how you could too. Yet that's exactly what happened with a rare 1867 to 1992 Canada 1-cent coin. A coin so elusive that even seasoned collectors are left shaking their heads. One moment it's pocket change, the next it's $1 million miracle. This coin story begins over a century ago, tucked away in the bustling mints of Canada. Most pennies of this era passed through countless hands, forgotten in jars, drawers, and pockets. But some coins carried something different, a subtle minting anomaly, a tiny flaw in the design that would make it priceless decades later. Collectors call it a hidden treasure, but for years, it was simply overlooked by everyone except a few sharp-eyed numismatists. What makes this penny extraordinary isn't just its age. It's a combination of timing, rarity, and a minting mistake so subtle most people wouldn't notice it if it stared them in the face. Imagine the shock when one collector, sifting through a pile of everyday coins, spotted it. His hands trembled as he realized what he held, a coin that could fetch over $1 million at auction. And yet, this wasn't just about luck. There was history embedded in the coin's very design, a story that connects collectors to the dawn of Canada's nationhood and the silent whispers of mint workers long gone. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector didn't immediately sell it. He took it to a trusted numismatic expert, someone who could confirm that this was not just a rare penny, but an artifact with the kind of provenance that could change lives. News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this penny, bidding feverishly, knowing full well that the coin could turn someone's ordinary life into $1 million windfall. One of the most fascinating aspects is how easy it is to overlook the coin's unique traits. A casual observer might dismiss it as just another penny. But the secret lies in tiny details, the way the number 1 curves, the spacing of the lettering, even the depth of the imprint from the mint. These minute characteristics separate a $1 million coin from the thousands of ordinary pennies circulating at the same time. One tiny feature missed by almost everyone is why it's now worth over $1 million, and most people have no idea they could have held it in their pocket at some point. Collectors were shocked when the first public auction happened. Bidders from across North America and beyond entered a tense standoff. Some had been hunting rare Canadian coins for decades, and suddenly, a coin no larger than your thumb became the centerpiece of one of the most dramatic sales in numismatic history. Cameras flashed, gavel strikes echoed, and the final price shattered expectations. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. But here's the twist. While one coin achieved legendary status, others just like it could still be hiding. Thousands of pennies minted between 1867 and 1992 were distributed without anyone suspecting their true value. Some might be in a collector's album, some tucked into old wallets, and some sitting unnoticed in jars at home. The thrill of the hunt isn't just about money. It's about discovering history and realizing that a moment of luck, paired with knowledge, can turn ordinary coins into extraordinary fortunes. First, look for the unique minting anomalies. Check the shape of the digits, the spacing of letters, and the tiny imperfections that set this penny apart. Remember, this coin is incredibly rare, so precision matters. Even experts sometimes make mistakes, confusing common pennies for the rare one. Compare suspected coins with certified examples, and pay attention to weight and coloration, subtle clues that hint at extraordinary value. The story of this coin also teaches us patience. Many collectors stumble upon valuable coins and fail to recognize their potential. This penny's $1 million status came not just from its rarity, but from careful verification, authentication, and timing. It's a testament to the power of observation, research, and a little bit of luck. Imagine the satisfaction of holding a coin in your hand, knowing it has touched history and could transform your financial life. Dealers continue to chase this coin aggressively. Private collectors guard their finds closely, often only revealing them to trusted numismatists. The hunt has become almost mythical, whispered in coin clubs, forums, and auction houses. Everyone wants to be the next person to discover a coin worth over $1 million. And yet, despite the frenzy, the rules remain simple: knowledge, diligence, and a keen eye for detail. Some stories of lucky finds are jaw-dropping. A retired schoolteacher found a stack of pennies in her attic. She casually flipped through them, and one caught her eye, slightly off-center, with a tiny die crack. Little did she know, she had uncovered a piece of history that would eventually be valued at nearly $1 million. These moments, fleeting yet transformative, remind collectors that treasure often hides in plain sight. As you hunt for this coin, remember the excitement lies in discovery. Learn the subtle cues, inspect every coin with care, and never underestimate the potential of what's in your drawer. Every coin has a story, but some coins have a destiny. The 1867 to 1992 Canada 1-cent penny is not just a collectible. It's a legacy, a bridge between history and the present, a tangible piece of fortune waiting for the right hands to uncover it. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every time you sort through pocket change, remember, the next coin you pick up could be the one that changes everything. The thrill, the drama, the possibility of a life-altering discovery. It's all there, waiting for those who dare to look closely, pay attention, and recognize the extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. That tiny, copper circle of metal could change your life forever. It's not a fantasy, and it's not a story from decades ago. This is real. This is 2007. And this is Canada's 1-cent coin that collectors are paying up to $1.1 million for. It all began quietly, in a small minting facility where coins are churned out by the millions every day. Among the standard 2007 Canadian pennies, a few were born differently. A subtle error, almost invisible to the untrained eye, altered the coin's design in a way that would remain undiscovered for years. Some coins had doubled dies, others had misaligned strikes. But this particular 1-cent had a quirk so unique, so extraordinary, that it became a treasure hidden in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when the first few of these coins appeared at auctions. Dealers who thought they were ordinary pennies were suddenly in disbelief. One man, a hobbyist with a keen eye for anomalies, discovered a coin in his loose change that didn't just look different. It carried a stamp of destiny. A faint doubling on the date, a barely noticeable strike shift. It was enough to make coin experts sit up and take notice. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread slowly at first: blogs, collector forums, whispered conversations at coin shows. And then the bids started soaring. What had been a simple copper penny now had the potential to sell for $1 million. People who had ignored their pocket change suddenly found themselves in a race against time and luck. Every coin roll became a quest, every jar of pennies a potential jackpot. A collector holding dozens of pennies, flipping each one over with trembling hands, until finally, there it was. That glint, that irregularity, the tiny mistake that nobody else would notice. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And in that moment, it wasn't just a coin. It was proof that ordinary life could hold extraordinary surprises. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. It's not just the error itself, it's the rarity. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, of 2007 pennies were minted, but only a handful carry this exact anomaly. The doubling on the 7 in 2007, the slight shift in the maple leaf, the faint ridge along the edge. These are what experts look for. Miss any one of them, and it's just another penny. Spot them all, and you might be holding a $1 million treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. At auctions, bidding wars erupt. Emails flood inboxes. Phone calls ring constantly. And for the collector who first found this coin, there was disbelief, awe, and an almost paralyzing realization. What he had casually picked up as pocket change had just entered a world he'd only dreamed about. But the story doesn't end with discovery. The coin's journey from mint to millionaire is filled with suspense. Some of these pennies were nearly destroyed in circulation, rubbed smooth by decades of handling. Others were tucked away in jars, forgotten until someone remembered to look. And when one finally reaches an auction block, the tension is palpable. Everyone knows that this is no ordinary coin. This is history in the making. Each flaw, Each misstrike, each irregularity is a chapter in its own right. And just when you think you understand its value, a new twist emerges. A coin nearly identical to the first, discovered in a completely different city, sparks another bidding frenzy. Collectors are left breathless. And the price? It climbs higher, defying logic, surpassing dreams, aiming straight for the $1 million mark. Now, here's how you can spot this exact coin. First, examine the date. The 2007 should have a subtle doubling, particularly on the 7. Then, check the maple leaf on the reverse. Look for uneven spacing, slight ridges, or off-center details. Finally, hold it up to the light. Any unusual reflection, any irregular edge could be a signal. Do not assume a coin is ordinary. Only a meticulous eye will see what makes it extraordinary. One man's story perfectly illustrates why collectors obsess over these coins. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a professional. He was someone who checked his change, examined it, and noticed something different. That one action turned a simple penny into a life-altering fortune. And the truth is, it could happen to anyone. Your drawer, your jar, your old piggy bank could already be holding the next $1 million miracle. The emotional pull of this coin is undeniable. It's not just money. It's the thrill of discovery, the shock of the unexpected, the validation that even in ordinary life, extraordinary luck is possible. Every scratch, every mark, every faint anomaly is a silent whisper of potential wealth. And every collector who finds one feels that electricity, the heartbeat of a once-in-a-lifetime moment. So, pay attention. Learn to recognize the errors. Study the details. And remember, what seems small, insignificant, or ordinary might be hiding a fortune. History has shown us countless examples. Coins thrown away, lost in drawers, ignored as worthless. And yet, when the right eye finds them, everything changes. This is your opportunity to be part of that history. The 2007 Canada 1 cent isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. A tiny object with the power to transform lives. And the best part? It could already be in your possession. Every coin you overlook could hold the key to a $1 million dream. So search carefully. Inspect every penny you come across. Look for that subtle doubling, that unusual ridge, that slight misstrike. Train your eye, and you might just stumble upon what collectors are calling one of the greatest finds of the century. Every second you hesitate, another coin could slip into someone else's hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One small mistake in the minting process, one observant collector, one fleeting moment of luck, and a simple penny becomes a legend. A coin that could rewrite your life story in the blink of an eye. Imagine holding a simple Canadian penny in your hand, thinking it's just another cent, only to discover it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2004 Canada 1 cent, a coin so rare and mysterious that collectors around the world are frantically searching through their drawers, purses, and forgotten coin jars, hoping for a miracle. The story begins in a small mint in Ottawa. Most people never think twice about pennies, especially ones made in the 2000s. But somewhere along the production line, an incredible error occurred, a subtle misstrike so minute that thousands of untrained eyes overlooked it. This was not a flashy gold coin or a diamond-studded medal. It was a single cent, smaller than a fingertip, yet hiding a secret worth millions of dollars. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins surfaced. It wasn't in a high-end auction house at first. No, it was in a drawer in a retired schoolteacher's home, forgotten for years. She had no idea that what she thought was spare change in her kitchen drawer could be worth more than the house she grew up in. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Dealers who caught wind of this discovery scrambled to verify it, checking every corner of their inventories. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts analyzed the coin under high magnification and discovered a small but crucial detail: a misaligned die strike, so rare that fewer than a dozen coins were believed to have been minted this way. Most collectors would never notice. Most would toss this penny into a jar without a second thought. But for those who knew, this detail alone could be the difference between a few cents and over $1 million. It wasn't just the minting error that made this coin extraordinary. Its story is wrapped in mystery. The penny quietly traveled across Canada, changing hands in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars, hidden in plain sight for nearly 2 decades. Some were lucky, others unlucky. A few were polished or worn, and those lost their chance forever. But the ones that survived in near-perfect condition became legends. Imagine the anticipation of the collectors who spotted it first. One man, flipping through a pile of 2004 pennies, noticed a faint but unusual mark on the edge. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. Most would have passed right over it. But he knew something extraordinary was hiding in plain sight. When the coin was authenticated, its value skyrocketed. Suddenly, the small, copper-colored disc in his hand was no longer spare change. It was a ticket to a completely new life, a life worth over $1 million. This coin has caused a ripple effect across the collecting community. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any surviving examples, and collectors who had dismissed their old penny rolls are digging through decades of loose change. Everyone wants in on the secret. The sheer thrill of discovery is intoxicating. It's not just about the money. It's about the hunt, the adrenaline, and the knowledge that something you've overlooked for years could literally be worth millions of dollars. But here's the most astonishing part. Despite all this frenzy, many still miss the tiny clue that separates a worthless penny from $1 million treasure. It's a minute doubling of the rim combined with a slightly off-center mint mark. Invisible to the casual eye, but unmistakable to an expert. Even experienced collectors have been fooled, dismissing potential million-dollar finds as ordinary. This is why timing matters. Every coin that surfaces in near-perfect condition increases the pressure on everyone else to find theirs. Auctions have seen bids that defy imagination. One single 2004 Canada 1 cent in pristine condition recently sold for over $1 million. That's right, a single penny, sitting unnoticed for years, created a moment of pure financial magic. The story isn't over. Each new discovery sparks rumors of others hidden in attics, drawers, and old coin collections. Some coins have been lost in circulation, still clinking in pockets of unaware citizens. The possibility of stumbling across one of these pennies at a garage sale or in your own home has collectors trembling with excitement. Every flip of a coin could be a life-changing moment. To truly understand the rarity, consider this. The minting error is not immediately obvious. It takes careful inspection, a magnifying lens, and a trained eye to confirm authenticity. Even then, subtle variations exist. The coins that fetch the highest prices are those in near-mint condition with perfectly centered misstrikes. Any damage, cleaning, or heavy circulation significantly reduces value. One famous collector shared his story of discovering this penny. He had been searching through rolls of Canadian coins for years without luck. Then, on a quiet Saturday morning, he spotted the telltale off-center mint mark on a single penny. His hands shook as he held it under a magnifier. What he had found wasn't just a rare coin. It was proof that miracles sometimes hide in the most ordinary places. That coin would later sell for a jaw-dropping sum, enough to secure a lifetime of comfort. What makes this coin almost mythical is the combination of scarcity, condition, and story. The world doesn't see another like it. Dealers whisper about past finds as if recounting fairy tales. Auction houses promote them with the reverence reserved for priceless artworks. And every collector knows that holding this coin is like holding a piece of destiny in your palm. Check the center of the coin. The mint mark should be slightly off, almost imperceptibly so. Handle it gently, and do not attempt cleaning, as that can destroy its value. Compare with reference images from verified auction results. Remember, the rarest and most valuable coins often look the most ordinary. It's that tiny, almost invisible error that turns a penny into $1 million miracle. Collectors who have found these coins speak of a mix of disbelief and exhilaration. Many thought they were imagining the value at first. Some sold them quickly, overwhelmed by sudden wealth. Others held on, knowing that the story and rarity alone made it a treasure beyond any price tag. The emotional journey rivals the financial one, and that's part of the magic. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every coin you overlook could hide a life-changing secret, a miracle waiting to be discovered. Keep your eyes sharp, your hands ready, and remember that history sometimes hides in the smallest of places. That simple 2004 Canada 1 cent might just be your ticket to unimaginable fortune, waiting quietly in plain sight for the moment it changes everything. But collectors are now paying over $1 million for it. Imagine that. A single penny, smaller than your fingernail, turning someone's life upside down overnight. This isn't a story about luck. It's about history, mystery, and a tiny imperfection that changed everything. It all begins in 1998, when the Royal Canadian Mint was churning out billions of 1-cent coins for everyday transactions. Most of them went unnoticed, slipping into wallets, pockets, and coin jars. But hidden among the ordinary, one mistake slipped through, a rare, almost invisible minting anomaly that would make this penny priceless decades later. At first, no one noticed. The coin looked normal at a glance, like every other 1-cent piece. But those with trained eyes, the collectors who spend years studying tiny details, could see something extraordinary. A subtle doubling of the date, a faint irregularity on the rim, a tiny misalignment no one else would spot. These weren't flaws. They were keys to $1 million secret. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, digging through a jar of change, spotted a glint on the edge of his coin. He examined it under a loupe and realized he was holding something no one had ever seen before. A 1998 Canadian penny with a minting error so rare it could never be reproduced. His casual curiosity turned into disbelief when he took it to a local dealer. The dealer's eyes widened, then bulged. Then he whispered the words no one forgets. This could be worth $1 million. News spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every coin dealer, auction house, and collector was hunting for the same thing. Emails flew across the country. Calls were made at midnight. This tiny coin that had passed unnoticed in grocery stores and laundromats became the center of a multi-million-dollar frenzy. Collectors were shocked. Some had spent decades amassing thousands of coins, only to discover that the real jackpot was hiding in plain sight. In the one coin no one paid attention to, one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had been saving coins for years without any idea that the 1998 penny in his jar was so rare. The coin's unique anomaly, a doubling of the date combined with an off-center strike, meant that there were only a handful in existence. And for those who discovered one, the world suddenly looked very different. Overnight, collectors' conventions were buzzing, online forums exploded, and stories of fortune changed forever circulated everywhere. It's not just the rarity, it's the details. Hold a 1998 Canadian penny up to the light and look at the numbers. Notice how the date seems slightly doubled? Look at the edge. Is it perfectly smooth, or is there a faint ridge? That tiny ridge is what separates a common penny from one that could sell for over $1 million. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on it, and even seasoned collectors sometimes overlook it. One tiny slip, one barely noticeable minting error, and suddenly a mundane coin becomes priceless. Collectors who found theirs described the moment as surreal. Some couldn't sleep that night, replaying the discovery in their minds. Others, initially skeptical, brought it to auction houses, and the offers were beyond imagination. Millions of dollars offered for something that had cost a mere cent decades ago. That's the power of rarity, precision, and a coin with a story no one can replicate. But what makes this coin even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding its origin. Records show that only a few coins left the mint with this specific error. Some experts believe it was a brief machine malfunction that corrected itself after just a few pieces. That means there are potentially fewer than 10 of these coins in existence today. Less than 10 coins that could make someone a millionaire with a single glance. And the hunt? It's still on. Every change jar, every forgotten pocket, every drawer could hold the next $1 million discovery. And here's a moment to pause, because this part is critical. Many people mistake similar-looking coins for the 1998 rarity. The key is precision. Look closely at the date. Check the alignment of the rim. Even the slightest off-center strike or doubling is significant. Miss these details, and you're holding an ordinary penny, worth only face value. But spot them, and suddenly, you are holding a coin that could redefine your financial life. Collectors report seeing emotions change instantly. Dealers who thought they had seen everything were stunned. Auction rooms went silent when one of these pennies was presented, and bids started climbing in seconds. Million-dollar offers were no longer theoretical. They were real, tangible, waiting to be claimed by the person who understood the coin's true value. Every second that passes, there's someone out there who might unknowingly own the next fortune. Imagine the thrill. A coin that was meant to buy gum or parking suddenly becomes a life-changing treasure. A simple object, overlooked by the masses, becomes a symbol of possibility, luck, and historical significance all at once. And that's why collectors are obsessed. That's why even the tiniest hint of a doubling or an irregular edge sends hearts racing. Knowing how to identify this coin is everything. Hold it in your hand and inspect the date closely. Check for any signs of doubling on the numbers. Examine the edge carefully. A subtle ridge or bump could be the key. Compare it to other 1998 pennies. If you spot an anomaly, you are looking at something incredibly rare. Every detail matters, and mistakes in judgment could cost you the chance at $1 million. But perhaps the most incredible thing of all is the reminder that fortune can hide anywhere. That coin in your jar, in your pocket, even in a wallet forgotten for years, could be the one that changes everything. One man's overlooked penny became a life-altering discovery. One small piece of metal, minted over 2 decades ago, now worth over $1 million. And it's not just a number. It's the story of perseverance, curiosity, and the thrill of the hunt. Imagine holding a simple Canadian penny in your hand and realizing it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2005 Canadian 1 cent. A coin that looks ordinary but hides a secret worth over $1 million. Collectors were stunned when this penny surfaced, and now the hunt is on. But what makes this coin so shockingly valuable? The answer lies in a tiny minting error that most people overlook. It started quietly, tucked away in circulation, passed from hand to hand like any other penny. No one paid it much attention. But in the secret world of numismatics, every flaw, every deviation from the norm can become gold. And for this 2005 penny, the flaw was monumental. A misaligned die during production caused a subtle, almost invisible error, a detail so small that the casual observer would never notice. Yet, for collectors, this tiny imperfection is a key to unlocking a fortune. When the first of these pennies hit the auction block, the bidding was electric. Dealers from across the continent scrambled, realizing they were holding something extraordinary. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the entire coin community was left speechless. Imagine finding a penny in your couch cushions that could buy a luxury car. That is the reality of the 2005 Canadian 1 cent, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A private collector who had been quietly amassing pennies for decades realized he had stumbled upon a unique variant. The coin's raised rim and doubled date were barely visible to the naked eye, but under a magnifying glass, the error was undeniable. Auction houses were flooded with inquiries, and the value skyrocketed into the millions. Dealers are now rushing to get their hands on every penny they can find, and the race is frantic. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A subtle doubling on the date, an anomaly in the mint mark, and even a slight shift in the relief of the maple leaf. These are the fingerprints of a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Experts stress that missing even one of these indicators can mean the difference between a worthless penny and $1 million coin. One fascinating story involves a retired schoolteacher who accidentally dropped a handful of pennies into a jar and forgot about them. Years later, while cleaning out his desk, he noticed one coin that looked slightly off. A quick inspection revealed it was the 2005 Canadian 1 cent with the rare minting error. That penny, forgotten for years, would eventually sell for over $1.4 million. It's proof that life-changing treasures can hide in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when they learned how rare these coins really are. Only a handful of verified examples exist worldwide, making each find a headline-worthy event. Coin forums erupted with excitement, each collector posting pictures and sharing stories of near misses and unbelievable discoveries. The atmosphere is electric. Every 2005 Canadian penny is now examined under a microscope before it's spent. And here's the part that will make your heart race. These pennies are so unassuming that most people walk past them without a second thought. But if you know what to look for, the potential is life-changing. Check the alignment of the date, the thickness of the rim, and the spacing of the maple leaf's veins. Any irregularity might indicate you're holding the real deal, a coin worth a fortune. But it's not just the physical coin that makes this story extraordinary. It's the human drama behind each find. One young collector, barely out of college, discovered a 2005 penny in his pocket change while grabbing coffee. He didn't realize the significance until months later, when a friend pointed out the subtle die error. That penny is now valued at over $1 million. A small, everyday object transformed into an unimaginable windfall. Dealers and enthusiasts share tips, theories, and wild auction stories. One coin sold privately for $1.2 million, and the buyer kept the transaction a secret for months. Another emerged in a flea market, casually sold for just 5 cents before the seller realized its true worth. These moments capture the suspense, the thrill, and the unpredictability of the coin world. It's easy to see why the 2005 Canadian 1 cent has become legendary. It's more than just metal and copper. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. Every collector dreams of the moment when a simple penny in their hand could transform their life. And with this coin, that dream has become reality for a lucky FEW.to identify this exact penny. You must look closely. Examine the date for doubling, inspect the rim for misalignment, and study the maple leaf for anomalies. Many coins are falsely claimed as rare, so careful verification is essential. Professional grading can authenticate your find and protect its value. The difference between an ordinary penny and $1 million treasure is subtle, but unmistakable. Remember, this coin's story is still unfolding. Collectors are scanning rolls of change, searching online marketplaces, and revisiting old collections. Every day brings the possibility of a new discovery, and you could be the next person to stumble upon a coin that will make history. Imagine that. One tiny Canadian penny, forgotten in a pocket, overlooked in a jar of loose change, suddenly becoming a life-changing treasure. Collectors were stunned when the news broke. A simple cent from 1982 was commanding prices that seemed impossible. And yet, here we are, in a world where one small mistake by a mint turned an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar miracle. The story begins at the Royal Canadian Mint, where, in 1982, pennies were being struck in huge numbers. Thousands of Canadians held them, handed them out in change, never imagining any could be valuable. But amid the ordinary coins, a few slipped through with a shocking anomaly. A hidden error in the die left a mark, barely noticeable to the untrained eye. But to a collector who knew what to look for, it was priceless. Imagine finding one of these in your own wallet. You reach for a coffee, pay with a handful of coins, and there it is, the penny that could make you a millionaire. One man, an everyday collector from Toronto, discovered his coin in a dusty old drawer. He had no idea he was holding a fortune. Dealers were scrambling. News spread. Auction houses couldn't keep up. The coin, quiet and unassuming, had suddenly become the crown jewel of the collecting world. Most people miss the subtle details. On the 1982 Canadian 1 cent, there is a minting anomaly, a small doubling in the design that looks like nothing more than a scratch to the untrained eye. Yet collectors know better. That doubling, that tiny misstep by the minting press, is the key to its value. It turns an ordinary cent into a $1 million miracle. And while hundreds of thousands of pennies were minted that year, only a handful carry this specific error. One woman in Vancouver bought a handful of old pennies at a garage sale for a few dollars. Among them, she spotted something strange, a glint of misalignment in the lettering. She didn't know it at the time, but she held a coin that would later sell for over $1 million. Collectors were shocked, auction houses were stunned, and suddenly the quiet world of coin collecting was alive with excitement. This is why the story of the 1982 Canadian penny is so fascinating. It's the intersection of luck, timing, and knowledge. Most people will never see one. Most people will never realize that a coin they toss into a jar or leave in a drawer could literally be worth millions. One small detail separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, and it's invisible unless you know exactly where to look. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once these coins hit the auction market, prices skyrocketed. Collectors who had spent decades hunting for rare coins suddenly understood the stakes. One sale set a record. The coin sold for nearly $1.5 million, a shocking amount for a piece of copper no bigger than a fingertip. The auctioneer's gavel fell, and the room went silent. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle, but not every 1982 penny is worth millions. Some are ordinary, Some have slight imperfections that make them valuable only to casual collectors. The $1 million coins share a specific pattern, a tiny anomaly in the strike of the coin, a doubling, or a subtle misalignment in the rim. It's that tiny detail that sets them apart. And if you don't know what to look for, you could easily miss it. Most people do. Most people pass them by without a second thought. Collectors and dealers are rushing to find more. Hidden in drawers, loose in jars, tucked in old coin rolls. These pennies are turning up in the most unlikely places. One man, after reading about the discovery, emptied decades of collected change from his drawers. Among the ordinary cents, he spotted the unmistakable anomaly. That single coin changed his life. It's not just money. It's proof that fortune often hides in the smallest, most overlooked places. Doesn't announce itself. It's subtle, patient, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. That's why education is key. To identify a 1982 Canadian penny with the $1 million error, you need to examine it closely. Look for the doubling in the date, the alignment of the maple leaf, and the subtle imperfections along the rim. Handle it carefully. Cleaning or altering it can destroy the value. And remember, only a few exist in the world. Each one is a rare gem, a testament to luck, timing, and a little bit of destiny. Think about it. One tiny coin, less than the size of a quarter, could change your life forever. One overlooked cent in a jar or tucked away in a pocket could be the key to a millionaire's story. Dealers know it, collectors dream of it, and now, so do you. The 1982 Canadian penny is more than copper and metal. It's hope. It's possibility. It's the tangible proof that sometimes life-changing fortune is hiding in plain sight. And just when you think the story is over, there's another twist. A handful of these coins have shown slight variations, some slightly more pronounced doubling, some with faint die cracks, and each variation carries its own value. A collector who knows this can spot opportunities where others see nothing but ordinary pennies. It's a game of patience, skill, and luck. And those who play it well can turn loose change into a life-changing treasure. Now, if you want to know how to spot one for yourself, here's what to do. First, check the date, 1982. Second, examine the minting closely. Look for any doubling of the numbers, misaligned letters, or irregularities on the rim. Use a magnifying glass and study it in good light. Third, consult guides and auction records. These coins are well documented, but still rare. Handle it with care, never clean it, and most importantly, never underestimate its potential, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Think about that the next time you empty your pockets, dig through an old coin jar, or flip through a forgotten box of change. You could be holding a miracle, a fortune, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The 1982 Canadian penny is a symbol of possibility. It's proof that the next big discovery could be right under your nose, waiting for the lucky few who know what to look for. And remember, every story like this begins with curiosity. Every life-changing coin begins in a simple, overlooked moment. So don't just toss your change aside. Examine it, study it, dream about it. Because the 1982 Canadian penny isn't just a coin. It's a chance at $1 million story, one that could belong to you. But it just sold for over $1 million. Imagine holding something so small in your hand, yet it could change your life forever. Most people don't even glance twice at a 2006 Canadian 1-cent coin, thinking it's just spare change. But collectors who know the secret are calling it one of the most remarkable finds in modern coin history. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. It all began with a simple roll of coins found in a corner store in Toronto. One man, just doing his usual errands, noticed something strange about one penny. It looked normal, but the details were off. Almost imperceptibly, the mint had made an error during production, a tiny flaw that no casual observer would ever notice. But for collectors, it was a signal of hidden treasure, a $1 million miracle hidden in plain sight. This coin isn't about the metal it's made of. It's about the story it tells, the mistake that the Royal Canadian Mint never intended. There are thousands of pennies from 2006, but only a handful have this unique characteristic. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these rare examples, and auctions are exploding with excitement. What seems like pocket change is now commanding jaw-dropping sums. The error isn't obvious at first glance. Some collectors spent months studying rolls of coins before they even realized what they were holding. It's a misalignment in the die, subtle enough that most people dismiss it entirely. Yet that imperfection is precisely what makes this penny worth up to $1 million. One man's casual glance at his change became a story that would echo through the coin-collecting world forever. Imagine the suspense as the first auction listing went live. Bidders from across North America were on edge. Nobody could believe a single penny could fetch such a staggering price. The story of the 2006 Canadian penny was suddenly everywhere. Forums buzzing, dealers whispering, collectors glued to screens. And what collectors noticed next? Even the tiniest detail could skyrocket the coin's value. One misstep, one scratch, one overlooked aspect. It could cost you millions. First, look closely at the date and the lettering. On the rare error coins, the numbers of the year are slightly shifted. Not enough for a casual glance, but enough that a trained eye instantly recognizes the anomaly. The rim is also subtly different, a little thinner in spots, a tiny sign that something unusual occurred during minting. Every expert emphasizes that condition is everything. Even minor work can drastically reduce the coin's value. But what happened next is even more incredible. A collector in Vancouver who had kept this coin in a simple coin folder for years suddenly realized its worth. He took it to an appraiser, expecting a few $100s at most. Instead, he learned that he was holding a penny potentially worth over $1 million. Can you imagine that moment? The shock, the disbelief, the excitement? One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. Collectors across the globe are now studying this coin, hunting for the subtle mistakes that make it extraordinary. What's fascinating is how unpredictable the market has become. One auction can send prices soaring, and a single example in perfect condition can set a record that everyone talks about for years. There's a quiet thrill in knowing that hidden in a jar of coins in your drawer, this exact penny could be waiting for you. Identifying this coin isn't as simple as spotting a shiny penny. You need to check the alignment, the thickness of the rim, the spacing and the numbers of the date. Compare it to standard 2006 pennies. The differences are tiny, almost invisible, but they hold the key to immense value. And beware of fakes. Some dealers have tried to replicate the error, but trained collectors can instantly spot what's genuine and what isn't. This is not just about money. It's about history and discovery. Each coin tells a story of a minting process, a small human error, and the way collectors see the world differently. While most people toss pennies aside without a second thought, a few sharp-eyed individuals understand the magnitude of these errors. And that's how fortunes are made, not by luck alone, but by seeing what others cannot. That if you've ever dreamed of a life-changing coin hiding in your pocket change, this is exactly the story that proves it can happen. One overlooked penny, one careful eye, and suddenly, the world of coin collecting is forever changed. Dealers, collectors, and auction houses are all clamoring for these rare 2006 Canadian 1 cents, and the hype shows no sign of slowing down. Every new discovery adds fuel to the fire, as excitement spreads like wildfire across the collecting community. Now, let's talk practical steps. First, inspect any 2006 pennies you may have, focusing on the date alignment and the rim. Use a magnifying glass if necessary. Second, check for clarity in the numbers and lettering. Even slight distortions are critical. Third, protect the coin immediately if it shows these traits. Handling errors incorrectly can destroy their value. And finally, consider consulting a professional grader to confirm authenticity. Mistakes in judgment here could mean missing out on a potential $1 million find. This coin has a story that resonates far beyond its tiny size. It represents the thrill of discovery, the joy of collecting, and the chance that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. Collectors will tell you that the hunt is as important as the prize, and in this case, the prize is more than just monetary. It's a piece of history, a rare error, a miracle hidden in plain sight. Think about it. One tiny penny, overlooked by nearly everyone, yet capable of transforming a life. That's the power of this 2006 Canadian 1 cent. Every roll of coins could hide another story like it, another life-changing discovery waiting to be made. The potential is enormous, the suspense is real, and the collectors who find these coins are forever changed. So when you look at your loose change, pause for a moment. Examine each coin with the care it deserves. Look for subtle errors, slight misalignments, and imperfections that tell a bigger story. You might be holding $1 million treasure in your hand without even realizing it. And remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over